Hi, I'm Sandy, and I'm back in the kitchen with Pampered Chef. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the plant-based diet and some common myths that go along with this very popular way of eating. So let's get real for a minute. What does a plant-based diet look like? A plant-based way of eating focuses on foods mostly from plants. This includes fruits and vegetables, and also nuts, seeds, oils, whole grains, legumes, and my favorite, beans. Plant-based doesn't mean that you're vegetarian or vegan and never eat meat or cheese or other animal products. When I started eating a plant-based diet, I was excited, but I had some reservations because some of the myths that I had heard. Here are the top 3 myths that I'll address today. Number 1, I'll miss the meat. Number 2, I'll always be hungry. And number 3, my meals will be flavorless and boring. So let's start with the first one, I'll miss the meat. So the first myth I'm going to talk about is that you're going to miss meat. So it's true, people love their meat, meat is filling, it tastes good, and it's super satisfying. But actually, what makes meat so satisfying is umami. I don't know if you've ever heard of umami, but umami is one of the 5 recognizable tastes, along with sweet, salty, bitter, and sour. I like to think of umami as what makes food satisfying. So I'm going to make you a dish right now, mushroom rigatoni bolognese, which combines some plant-based sources of umami to give you that satisfying, delicious taste. So right now all I'm doing is just sweating some onions and garlic in the bottom of the pan. And here's where the real magic happens. I really finely chopped in my manual food processor 2 8-ounce packages of cremini or baby bella mushrooms. So this is really where all the magic happens. I'm going to add this to the pan. And mushrooms actually have a lot of water in them. So I'm going to cook these long enough so that all the water cooks out, because if it doesn't, it's going to make the dish watery. And cooking the water out actually makes it more concentrated in flavor, so you can really taste that mushroom flavor come through. Stir, it's already starting to smell good. Now it's okay if you have some bigger chunks of mushrooms in here. It's all right, it's all gonna get cooked down to make this bolognese sauce for the pasta. So what I think is fun about umami is it actually means yummy in Japanese. So it's those savory, earthy notes that make it so delicious. And what I think happens is when people go on vegetarian or vegan or plant-based diets, they think they're gonna miss the meat, but what they're really missing are those umami flavors that are so satisfying. So I've been trying to really cook with umami a lot lately for me and my husband, and even my kids too. So this recipe features mushrooms, which are a plant-based source of umami, also soy sauce and Parmesan cheese. So it's really cool to get 3 ingredients together to really combine those delicious umami flavors. And yes, I like to eat Parmesan cheese. Like I said before, you don't have to give up all animal-based foods to eat a plant-based diet. Just really what works for you. This is getting pretty close. You could tell it's almost like thick and pasty when most of the water is cooked out. That is looking really good. So first we're gonna add, this is just 2 cans of diced tomatoes with their juices. I didn't drain this because I want the liquid, since I cooked out a lot of the liquid from the mushrooms. So I'm going to use my mix and chop to get these tomatoes chopped up a little bit. Doesn't need to be perfect. I like a little texture in my sauce. I used actually 1 can of plain diced tomatoes, and I used 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes today, just to switch it up a little bit, add a little heat. What's really interesting is this looks like meat sauce right now, but it's not. Now we're gonna add a little bit of red wine. It's really gonna deepen the flavor of the sauce. And then another umami ingredient, which is soy sauce. When I was developing this recipe, I hadn't discovered how soy sauce was gonna really enhance this meal, and once I did, really brought it all together. And then I have a couple tablespoons of Italian seasoning mix. Give that a stir. I also love this dish because it's a great one-pot meal. You make the sauce, and then you add the water and the pasta, and it all just cooks together. I've got 2 cups of water here. This is smelling so good. Pretty meaty too, by the way. And then I've got 2 cups of rigatoni pasta. I like the heartier pasta for this dish because I think it goes really well with the sauce. Okay, that's looking good. I'm gonna cover it and it cooks for about 15 minutes and we'll just finish it when it's done. So now my pasta is done cooking. Ooh, it's smelling delicious. I'm just gonna serve some up. Give it a little stir. Again, what I like about this recipe, it tastes so good and it actually really looks like bolognese sauce, but without the meat. That is looking great. Okay. So I've got some Parmesan cheese, another one of my favorite umami ingredients. So delish. All right, I can't wait to eat this recipe. It's got all the delicious plant-based umami flavors and you won't miss the meat. So the second myth is that I'll always be hungry on a plant-based diet. Well, let me just tell you, plant-based diets are not just limited to salads. There's a whole world of vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and beans and lentils that are filled with fiber and water, which are 2 things that actually really make you full. And actually, a plant-based diet has more potential to fill you up than the same serving size of something with meat. So it's super cool. Right now, I'm making some lentil soup here in the quick cooker, and I already have some onions, garlic, carrots, and celery sauteing and sweating in here, smelling so good. This is sort of the base to my soup. So this soup calls for red lentils. Red lentils are great for busy weeknights or anytime you just need a fast dish on the table. Red lentils are actually dehusked and split so that they cook a lot faster than other different types of lentils. Another cool thing about lentils is that they start out this reddish pink color, but they actually turn yellow or a pale green when they're cooking, which is so cool to me. They also really soften as they cook and they help thicken up a soup or a stew or even a puree. I love soups that are really thick and creamy like that. Makes it so satisfying. So I'm gonna go ahead. So now I just have 4 cups of vegetable stock. Then I have some cumin and a bay leaf. It's gonna go in there. Just give it a little stir. Got some salt and pepper. And when we come back, we're gonna add some coconut milk, spinach, and lime juice. So now that the soup is done cooking, we're just gonna take out the bay leaf. We're gonna add our coconut milk. We have a 1/2 cup. The coconut milk makes it creamy, but it's still plant-based. So good. Give that a stir. Then we have 5 cups of spinach. Baby spinach leaves. 5 cups of baby spinach leaves cook down really fast. So it looks like a lot right now. Stir that in. Spinach just gives it a little bit of oomph to the soup and really adds to that bite. I'm gonna add some lime juice, really freshens the flavor up of the soup. Mix that all up. We're gonna cover it with the lid and let it stand for 5 minutes, just for all those flavors to mix together and for it to thicken up just a little bit. So now that this has been sitting for 5 minutes, we're just gonna take off the lid and we're all set. The spinach got nice and wilted. Get a nice portion. Ooh. It's beautiful. This soup is hearty and so filling and great for a weeknight meal. So myth number 3 of a plant-based diet is that plant-based meals are bland and boring. Well, quite the contrary. There is so much variety in a plant-based diet. A variety of vegetables, beans, legumes, pastas, and rice. Actually, most experts recommend that we eat a wide variety of foods in our diet in order to get all the nutrients that we need. One way that I like to add more variety to my plant-based meals is with spices. Trying different foods with different spices can add vitamins and minerals and even antioxidants to your dishes. So one way to do that is to experiment with some ethnic cuisine. So today I'm going to show you a cauliflower curry recipe. This is so delicious and it's just bursting with flavor. So I have here, I'm going to add all my ingredients to my blender. I have some ginger that's already been peeled and grated. So now we have 2 cups of fresh cauliflower florets. Cauliflower is really an interesting ingredient in this recipe because it's super neutral and it takes on the flavor of the rest of the ingredients. Also, most curries call for cream and a lot of butter, but not this recipe. The cauliflower makes it nice and creamy too. So I have some roasted diced tomatoes. It's going to make the color of the curry really pretty. Get a little bit of water. Some cashews, which really give it a nice, rich flavor because of the fat in the cashews. And we've got some onion. I love this recipe because it's super approachable. I also added in 3 cloves of garlic. This is a little bit of salt and sugar. Now the sugar is used in curries because it helps balance out the flavors of the spices. And the spices that we're going to use today are cumin, coriander, and cayenne. Again, I like these spices because I have them at home. And if you don't, these are great spices to just keep on hand so that you can experiment with different cuisines. Put the lid on. And this goes onto the heated puree setting of the blender. I'm going to go make my rice, and then we come back, we'll add some peas and some chickpeas to the curry. So now that my curry is done cooking, I'm just going to add some peas. Peas add some really nice color, a little extra nutrition, and then chickpeas. Chickpeas are common in so many curries, and I love this in a meatless curry because it adds some fiber and protein to help you stay full. So the reason why you pulse it and you don't put those ingredients in with the rest of the curry is that you still get this nice texture. They don't get totally pureed, but you get this nice chunky texture. So now I'm ready to serve. I've just got some basmati rice here. Basmati rice is really flavorful. It's a little bit nutty and it's really central to Indian cooking. I love it. I recommend trying different rices like basmati and jasmine to add a little bit more flavor and a little more interest into your meals. Whew, this is smelling delicious. This curry is literally just an explosion of flavors. You guys have to try this. It's really thick and creamy. So good. I love the little pop of green that the peas give. Then I'm just gonna add some more crushed cashews. This is a really nice way to finish it with a little bit of texture since everything is kind of soft. And then I have some cilantro leaves. You know, a lot of people say when they cut out certain junk foods and a lot of sugary foods and they adopt a more plant-based diet, that their taste buds are actually really enhanced and they start tasting food like on a whole new level. And this recipe really brings that to life. And I hope it showed you that plant-based meals do not have to be bland and boring. We just debunked 3 plant-based diet myths, and I hope you're now inspired to add more plant-based meals into your diet. If you're veg curious and you want to dip your toes into this way of eating, you can try a plant-based meal on Meatless Mondays. It's an easy way to get started. For more plant-based recipe ideas, check out the vegetarian and vegan section of our website. Thanks for watching. See you next time.